Stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's two, you just use, they're not the best quality, that's, I took them off the phone. Yeah. Yeah.
Roll call, Ken, if somebody.
Mayor McCann?
Present.
Councilman, or Vice Mayor Watkins? Councilman Reinhardt?
Here.
Councilman Johannes?
Here.
Councilman Duke?
Here. Would anybody like to entertain a motion to excuse Vice Mayor Watkins?
I will entertain a motion to excuse Vice Mayor Watkins.
All those in favor?
Need support?
I support.
I thought I heard Billy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comments. Seeing none? Consent agenda. We went over the bills. I found the bills to be in order.
Like always.
Would anybody like to entertain a motion?
Is that a motion?
It's a motion.
Do we have a support? Support. Discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? New business, approved Concord Construction's payment request number 2. Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor McCon. Concord Excavating has submitted their second pay request for construction work on South Ruggles and Compton Street. The amount requested for this application is $209,465.10. In your packet is the pay request from Concord along with the cover letter from the city's engineer, Brian Newhoff. All of the work to date has been completed in general conformance with the plans and specifications. I did provide an update in my manager's report on the project, but if you have any further questions, Mike from Brian Newhoff is here. If you'd like to ask him anything.
Mike, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
No, they're chugging right along. The water main's all passed. They're gonna finish up the couple services they have left on there on Compton. They're all in on Ruggles. They got the sanitary and storm to finish on Compton, and then they'll start, hopefully putting the road back together. So curb, sidewalk, and make it start looking like a road. I know it looks, people get frustrated, but I haven't really heard any traffic complaints, access issues, dust issues, the normal ones I hear all the time. I haven't heard any, so I'm always encouraged when I don't get those phone calls every day, and my inspector's calling me every other day too, so it seems to be moving very well.
I've been pretty impressed with them, actually. I mean, I've seen it raining, they're out there working. I've seen them come in on some full hours, Saturdays working, you know, late nights.
Yeah,
They
do what they gotta do.
Phenomenal job to do what they need to get done.
yeah, well, so it'll be close. I don't know if they'll quite get done before school gets done, but I think they'll have some type of access pretty easily to the school. And Brandon and I talked about that we'll probably next week, Monday or Tuesday, call the school and just give them an update of where we see that project being, just so come first day the following week, they know about what to expect.
And for any of you that haven't gone down and watched them at all, they're in front of my house today hooking up the sewer. And you had the old 4-inch water main, and then up about 2 feet was the gas line, the old gas line. And then about another foot above that was the new gas line. So they're having to work through all of this stuff to get it all put in. And they appeared to me, for what little bit of knowledge I have, that they were doing a really good job, so.
And the material out there is really good for embedment and stuff like that, so, haven't seen typically like clay or anything. It's a nice granular material, so that, it sloughs a little bit when they're trying to dig a hole, so the hole gets a little bigger than, when it's a little stiffer, but,
Anybody have any comments? Hearing none, would anybody like to entertain a motion to pay Concord Construction?
I set a motion to pay Concord Construction.
Do we have a support?
I support it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of BS&A online public record search proposal.
Thank you, Mayor McCon. In order for the city to take online payments for water or tax bills, the account information needs to be available online with the city's software provider, BSI. There are two options available to purchase the service. The first is the municipality can opt to cover the annual service fee of $2,100 to allow visitors to look up most information for free, other than comparable sales searches would require a $2 per record fee. The city could also absorb that for $1,500 a year. The second option is the end users pay a fee per record for each that they look up with no annual fee paid by the city. For example, assessing tax and other information that might be available online would be $2 per record, with utility billing lookups at $1 per record. Having tax and assessing information available on our website without a fee may reduce the number of calls looking for tax, assessing, and utility billing data. Closing agencies and property owners would have access to this information at any time of day without having to call our offices. I'm recommending the city go with option one and require users to pay the additional fee for comparable sales. So that $2,100 a year number from option one is what I'm recommending.
That seems like the no-brainer to me, that if we can keep that available to people, then they don't have to, shouldn't have to call into the city office. That doesn't mean they won't, but it'd be nice to have it to where it's accessible to the public.
Yep.
Discussion, anybody?
I think I agree with that.
It's good. So we're gonna make the motion to go with, the option that Brandon proposed.
Yes, which would be the annual service fee of $2,100 and require the $2 fee for comparable sales data.
You're making a motion then?
Yes, sir.
Which one of the two of you would like to support that? Bill will support that. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Approval of consumer's energy easement for the 911 tower. Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor McCon. In order to get power to the new 911 tower at the city's well number 4 property at 220 North Parham Road, Consumers Energy is requiring an easement in order to be able to maintain their power equipment. The easement in your packet has been reviewed by the city attorney with no issues. This is required before they can bring power to the tower site, as I mentioned. So I recommend approval of the easement.
I'd make a motion to approve the easement.
I have support.
I'll support it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approval special parking permits, 405 North Madison Street. Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor McCon. This property has applied for a special parking permit to allow for the parking of their recreational vehicle at their home, which is over the allowed 24 feet, so that they can make repairs to the vehicle. The parking ordinance does not allow the parking of a motorhome longer than 24 feet in a residential district. Under section 71.06 of the traffic code, special parking permits may be applied for with the chief of police, and the chief of police may recommend to the city council special parking permits. The resident has requested a 90-day permit. The chief is recommending 60 days at this time. In my report is the special parking orders, permits, and procedures section of the ordinance. Are there any questions for myself or Steve?
Yeah, Steve, 405 North Madison, the way the street runs, you know, how it kind of binds into one, kinda? The net, run net, how it is over in North Madison?
It's pretty much, it's one lane on the one side, then, because you have the parking
Yeah.
lane.
Yeah, so, is that, in your opinion, that'll work okay then?
The RV will be parked on his property, not in the road,
Oh, okay.
so it's not gonna affect traffic any.
Oh, it's not a, okay, I read it wrong, I'm sorry.
No. He just wants about to park in his driveway so he can do some roof repairs. Apparently, last year's storm caused some roof damage, so he's had a tarp over it for the last year, and
Okay,
he wants to bring it home to make some repairs.
I understand.
Normally, it's being parked at the DPW barn where we allow semis and things to
Gotcha.
park.
Okay.
Now, did I see in there that, we could also just, designate Steve to make these decisions?
That was
Comments?
for more like up to 1 week, I believe.
Oh, okay.
More of the short-term temporary,
Right.
extra overnight parking
So you're
or some of that stuff.
comfortable
But anything longer than that, I think needs council approval.
So you're all comfortable with this then?
Well, I'm comfortable with the 60-day, and then we can review it at that point.
Okay.
He's a disabled veteran, and it's going to take him a little time. He's not real fast, but he has done some nice work, at least clean up to the house that he's in, because that was really a mess. It's just he can't move real slow due to some disabilities.
Sure.
But I think a 60-day is reasonable, and we can review at that point to see where he's at.
I'll make a motion that we approve the special parking permit for 405 North Madison.
Do we have a support?
I'll support it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. City staff comments.
School's starting in a couple weeks. Kids will be out roaming the streets and crossing, and want to make sure everybody kind of keeps an eye out for the kids. Schools seem to be shorthanded. They're looking for teachers, and looks like bus drivers as well. So we hope that they get those positions filled, and school can start as smoothly as possible. Summer's gone fast, relatively uneventful thus far. We hope that kind of maintains that through the fall. That's all I have.
Okay, city managers report. Oh, I didn't ask Scott.
Call volume's been light so far this summer after a very busy spring, so that's a good thing. With this heat especially. So, yeah, that's about all we have. We do have a committee right now that's looking at our apparatus, our fire trucks, because we're going to replace our tanker, which the city does not buy into, but we're also looking down the road, long-term planning, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, and trying to look at projections and things of this nature. So very interesting conversations taking place, and good commitment from the firefighters on input on that apparatus as well. So we did get a check for $2,865 from Duracell. Their batteries had leaked inside our air packs and caused damage. So I started a process about 1.5 years ago, asking them for enough money to repair all of these air packs, because they use firefighters in their commercials to sell their product, and their product was destroying the safety system that we use for our firefighters. So it took 1.5 years, but they did finally send a check, so that was good news. We also got a check from FEMA. About 1 year ago, we put in for subcategory B, emergency protective measures. When COVID hit, we had 4 or 5 different firefighters. We staffed the station 24/7, so that only 2 firefighters were going out on calls unless they were of sizable nature. Then we called the rest of the fire department in. That was to protect both the firefighters and the public, because we weren't sure about how the virus was spread. And so we put in to reimburse them at $10 an hour so that they got something, because they volunteered to do this, and that finally did come through. So that it's also very good news. That's all I have. Thank you, Larry.
How about your recruitment?
So recruitment, we did hire Cheyenne. Very excited about that. We have 2 others that are, I would say, definites this fall, and several others that we're looking at. There will probably be follow-up videos, and that company has signed several other fire departments that will be paying them for this service, since it works so well for Bronson. And this will be a continuous, ongoing process for us. Recruitment, retention, right now is more important than ever. The fire service is changing, the requirements, the training, the documentation, everything's ramping up, so less and less people are coming into it. So without this proactive approach, I don't know if we could ensure the success of our department for the next generation. That goes back to our committee. How do we put things together? How do we do things so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when we all phase out, how do we leave it better than what we found it for that next generation? So, good things happening.
How many firefighters do you feel you're short right now?
We're at 23 right now. We'd like to keep it at 25. We do have permission from the fire board to go up to 30 if we find good candidates, and that's just a proactive approach because about 30% of our department is 60 and over. So we kind of like to stack the deck, if you will, if those options come along. But it's getting extremely difficult. And most fire departments have been faced for a decade or so with the same issues. So it's a little bit new to us. I wouldn't say we're behind the 8 ball or anything. I would say that we're pretty close to where we need to be with those 2 that will most definitely, most likely be coming on this fall.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
Mhm.
City manager's report. Thanks.
Just mention that music in the park is 7 o'clock tonight. Watching the weather to see if we need to move into the theater, but we'll make that decision as it gets closer. That's all I have.
Well, you forgot to mention that music in the park tonight's gonna have, root beer floats
Oh, yes, yep.
from the fire department. So make sure we all go to, I'll be there dishing out ice cream and root beer, but, make sure everybody goes that can.
So if you're worried about the heat, there's cold beverages and ice cream.
Okay, council comments, Rick?
A lot of things we covered, you know, it's coming into the school this year. I know kids get excited, do a lot of crossing, not careful. I hope our public is well aware that this is coming into. And Steve, I just got a question. Where do you stand with your reserves, and are they gonna have to go through some little harder training?
That's gonna be a discussion that we're gonna have. We're looking at doing an accreditation program, and possibly through that, we actually may lose the reserve unit. I only have one reservette now, so it's not really a unit. I have one body right now, so now there are some other options to keep that person involved in the department, just in kind of some different ways, but that will be determined at a later time within the next year, probably. That process could take up to 2 years to get through, so it's nothing that we have to worry about right the minute, but it is of concern down the road.
Yeah,
So
I'd heard-
we'll take a look at that when the time comes.
I'd heard a little bit of stuff on, but they're wanting more training.
Yeah, it comes down to that most insurance companies want certified officers to do anything, and agencies like ours, sometimes that's just not feasible, so it makes it really tough.
That's too bad. You always
But
done
we'll get through that hurdle when the time comes.
You always done such a great job. It's just, it's too bad. It's
Yeah.
running that way.
We'll see what happens.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Joe? Bill?
I'm good too.
Okay, well, once again, school started, we gotta watch out for the kids, the school moms with their cell phones stuck in their ear when they're driving, and the kids walking, so we'll have to do our part to watch out for them. I'd like to thank the city staff for all the hard work they did, or all the work they did for Polish Festival. It turned out to be very successful. I'd like to thank all of the people that worked on the Polish Festival Council for having a well-run organization. And for all the people who participated in whatever part of Polish Festival you did. Thank you. For the Steep Street project, Mike, you and your people are doing a good job of making sure that we're getting our money's worth. We do appreciate that. I feel very comfortable with our street construction company. They seem to be, they tolerate an old white-haired guy being, looking over their shoulder. And they've been very pleasant, so. And I think that is, the reason you've had as few complaints as you've had is because these guys do a really good job,
Yeah.
so, yeah. That's all I have. So, would anybody like to make a motion for adjournment?
I will make a motion for an adjournment.
Do you have a support?
Did you?
Joe supports it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are